Never! I promised a mini lesson yesterday, it never happened, my schedule filled out as per usual. Let's do it now. Also, if you got the bloody snap images this morning, I'm running on like a couple of hours sleep, which sometimes makes the mini lessons better. Sometimes it makes them worse also. Anyway, today's mini lesson is called the Forgotten Long Game. We're going to talk the long game. No one does the long game. The inspiration for this particular lesson at this particular time is that I'm writing a new lesson for the Infinite Prosperity course. Some of you guys already know this. It's the financial independence lesson. It's about the long game. If you take a second to stop and look around and observe how people are behaving in culture right now, you'll realize that we live in a culture that we've got this immediate gratification thing going on. Everyone somehow thinks that the grass is always greener on the other side. They want the grass, they want it now, and they want it to be easy, and they want it to be risk-free. Though, interestingly, when you go and speak to the people with the so-called green grass, and you ask them how they got the bloody green grass, they'll all tell you the same thing. Don't get swept up in immediate gratification, don't compare yourself to others. So why is it then that everyone seems to be getting swept away with the immediately gratifying get-rich-quick schemes, diet pills, weight loss for nothing, money for nothing, falling from the skies with no work and no effort and no risk bullshit? Probably for many reasons. But here's the root cause that underlies them all. These particular individuals are oscillating between infatuation and resentment, and it's skewing their perception of time. In this particular mini lesson, I'm going to talk about some things that sound a bit fucking crazy. First crazy thing. Space and time are functions of your consciousness. The idea of time, as you know it, doesn't even exist. Einstein said this. He said, time itself has no independent existence apart from the order of events by which we measure it. What the fuck's this got to do with making money, Lewis? It has a lot to do with making money. If you're infatuated or resentful, it literally skews your perception of time. Let me prove it. So let's just say you're a guy, you're a 7 out of 10, maybe in the looks department, you get on the Tinder, you get this hot ass 10 out of 10, you go on a date, you're completely infatuated with her. When you get out to the date, you realize that she's actually really smart and intelligent and gifted, and she's got high social hierarchy, she's got a big following, she's a leader, she's successful financially, and she's humble, and she's present, and she says the right things, and she's connected to her source spiritually. She's the full box of chocolates, and you're attracted to her personality, so she becomes a 12 out of 10. And the date's going good, the conversation's flowing, the red wines are flowing, everything's going really well. How fast does the date go? It just zips past. It's midnight before you bloody well know it, you gotta go home. When you're infatuated, your perception of time shrinks. You know how they say time flies when you're having fun? It's kind of true, but what they really mean to say is time flies when you're in a state of infatuation. Your perception of time shrinks. Infatuation has an inverse correlation to space. So when you're infatuated, your sense of space expands. Time shrinks, space expands. Let me explain. Date number 2. This time you get her around 12 out of 10. You're completely infatuated with her still. You get her around, do some Netflix and chill. There's a 1 meter gap between you and her on the couch. How big does that 1 meter gap feel? It feels like a fucking chasm. It feels like the Pacific Ocean. You want to bridge that motherfucker. You want to get close. You get close and time flies. Now, let's fast forward 2 years. You've been with the girl for 2 years in a committed relationship. You stayed loyal. She went and slept with someone else. She cheated on you and then broke up with you. What happened to that infatuation that you had for her in the first date at the bloody restaurant with the Reddos? Boom! Resentment. Infatuation turns to resentment. Now you resent her. Now, when you're in a state of resentment, how does that affect your perception of space and time? Here's the game. You're at the shopping center, you see her and the guy that she cheated on you with at the shopping mall, and you're strutting along and they're 30 meters in the distance and you see them but they don't see you. That holy shitbags, you dart off into the shop. That's too close, you need to get the hell away from it. Because in a state of resentment, your perception of space shrinks. They're 30 meters in the distance, they haven't even seen you, but because of the resentment, you feel like they're all up in your grill. So you'll do everything in your power to put as much distance between that which you resent. I've seen people break up and then leave the country because they had so much resentment to their ex. Story gets better. So you're in the shop and you've seen them and they haven't seen you, but they're fucking coming to the shop. They're coming to that shop that you bloody happen to dart in. You grab a shirt, you run to the change room to hide. And now you're in the change room and you're sort of not even trying the shirt on because you don't really care about the shirt. You're peeking through the curtain and there they are. They're in the shop and you can see it. And then you think, oh, that fucking slut and that cocksucker. And you're looking through at them and you're wondering if you should go out and just pop the guy in the head and back of the head while he's not looking kind of thing. And you're hating on them and you're picturing them having sex and cheating on you and you're resentful. But at the same time, your heart's racing because they could come into the bloody change room area as well and you just want them to go away and they're all up in your grill. You're there for 2 minutes before you leave. Question is, how long does that 2 minutes feel like in your perception? It will feel like an eternity. It would have felt like you were in there for an hour. And you know from experience, whenever you're having a particularly shit day at school or at work, and you're resentful for having to be there, how long does the day take? So make sure you get this, write this down. Infatuation shrinks time and expands space. Resentment shrinks space and expands time. Love, real love, not the Hollywood love, not the bloody infatuation with your 12 out of 10s on Tinder. Real love is timeless and spaceless. That's what you talk about it in terms of eternal presence. By the way, if you ever want to get a glimpse of your soul and know just for a little bit what it feels like to be in a state of unconditional love, here's what you got to do. Balance your mind, clear your judgments. At the level of your soul, there's no judgment. It's not like your divine nature is like, oh, that fucking bitch cheated on you and stuff like that. That's animal victimization mentality. We're here to transcend that. We're here to have it all. We're here to experience it all. Joy and woe. Man is made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, safely through the world we'll go. Anyway, back to making money. This is what fucks people up. Infatuation and resentment. Second crazy lesson of the day. Actually, there's probably some crazy shit that I just mentioned in there. Second crazy lesson is this. Internally, we will have a conservation and balance of infatuation and resentment. Meaning, if you infatuate with something, then you're resenting something. 99.99999% of the people that I appear to deal with in regard to making money are completely infatuated with making money. In their infatuation, basically what they think that they're going to get them out of some particular fuckery that they're in at the moment. They think that it's the grass is greener over there, it's going to be all better. They think that if they make all this money that they're going to be happier or more fulfilled or people will like them more. None of that shit's true. None of that's true. The masses live in a world of gain and loss. They think that if you see someone who's got a lot of money that they're missing out themselves. They're missing out on something. Masters live in a world of transformation. Their problems, their challenges, their supports, their gripes, they're still there. When you get to the person with the fame and the fortune, they've got their own shit just in a different form. And as soon as you realize that, you'll calm your infatuation with making money. You realize that you're still going to have problems, it's just going to be in a different form. That's all it does. If you are infatuated, if through this lesson you realize you've got a massive infatuation, lesson 8, infinite prosperity, go and neutralize your infatuation. Because if you don't, and you stay infatuated, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have that conservation of polarities that I was talking about. You're going to have resentment, and most times I see the resentment come into your current situation. You start resenting yourself in the present. You start resenting your job, how much money you make, the decisions that you made or you didn't make, all the shit that you've done, you resent yourself. And that is grand fuckery on a massive scale for a number of reasons. One, if you resent yourself, you'll never make money, ever. You won't attract it, you won't put in the time, energy, and effort required to make it, and if you do win it or you get lucky and you get a heap, you'll squander it, you'll get rid of it because you don't have self-worth. How you feel about yourself has a massive impact on how much money you'll make and how much money you'll keep. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to make money. Do this. I do this. I'm blown away when I read Louise Hay's stuff. How many people can't do this? Go to the mirror and say, I love you, motherfucker, I love you, you're awesome. If you can't do that, let me know. I'll be really curious to talk to you. I've spoken to a couple of people who I said do the mirror thing and they couldn't do it. Crazy shit. The second big drawback of infatuating with some particular outcome in the future and therefore resenting some particular circumstance in the present is that it fucks your space and time horizons up. Remember what we learned? If you're resentful for your job, if you're resentful for your decisions, if you're resentful to the amount of money that you make and the amount of money that you keep, you're resentful to yourself, you're in the change room. You're in the change room of resentment where time's going so bloody slow, so you're perpetually attracted to these get-rich-quick fantasies, the diet pills, the easy quick fix. You're here in the change room resenting yourself, resenting others, comparing yourself to others, infatuating with some particular fantasy in the future. You're not paying yourself because you don't love yourself and you're certainly not investing. So you'll spend your whole life in fuckery, in resentment, in mediocrity until you wake up and realize that you've got to break your emotional polarities. This is why in Infinite Prosperity we don't just teach money strategies. The whole game is in your head. If you don't have the mind game sorted out, you'll lose before you even begin. I absolutely guarantee that. If you want to master your life, here's the rules of the game. Clear your past. Dissolve resentments. Clear judgments. Get balanced. And that is one section of the new lesson that we're putting into IP. Free for silver gold students. It's going to be killer. Let me know if you enjoyed the lesson. Thanks, guys.